put some red dicum on the face, and I've got my threading tool lined up on that bore right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make some scratch lines for this diameter and then those two diameters right there. A visual reference whenever I'm doing my facing to go out to. I've already kind of done the math, know where I need to be. Inch and a quarter. That's what I wanted. All right, now we'll go out to our next one. So, all right, that's going to be 1/2 inch. 1 inch and a half. 2 inches. Then we're going to go 1/8 of an inch past that. This one was going to be 2 and 15. All right, 2 and 15. I got to calculate one more, the other little small one there. That's a very, very thin face right there. Just had to go another 1/8 of an inch out. Okay. We'll start with the middle. And I've got my piece there with my depths that I want to start with. This one's going to be 22. I'm going to leave a little bit on that line there. We'll go ahead and face this one in. It won't quite touch the line yet. We'll wait till our second cut to clean them up. Come back out here, go in our 22 thou. Using the dial indicator over here on the ways. I'm going to bring it out and touch that scratch line. All right, we just cleaned it up. Go on in and clean up the other line. All right. Thing I'm gonna do that inner one last. Let's go ahead and try this one. So this outer one is going to be 10 thou. I think I went about 1/1000 deep on that other one. when I touched it. So we may be about 23 deep in that middle section, which is just clearance. All right, that one we want 10. We'll go ahead and move it in 10. Okay. All right, now our last one, which is going to be the center hub. Whenever we did our measurements, we had it at 2 thousandths under. So let's do that one now. We'll see if the indicator reads 0 right here and touches it. That's 0 an indicator, and I hear it touching it. There's 2 thou. And there it is. The angle is going to be a little bit different. I just used this, what is that, a MCK&R tool. So the width of this face right here may be just a little different than what the original part was, but I think what this is, this little raised lip, is where the dial bezel, you know, spins. I think that's what that is right there. But we'll see how good we did once we go back over to the granite plate, and we'll do a measurement on it, see our depths, if we got them where we want them. So last thing to do is put a little chamfer here, a little chamfer there. We'll hit it with some Scotch-Brite to kind of knock the fuzz and the burr off of it. And last thing will be after that is our oil grooves. Gray Scotch-Brite. I'll have to put some cleaner on that red Dykem. I don't think it's all going to come off there. Next up is going to be our other oil groove on this end, so it's going to be like we did before. I've got everything set. We're going to need to slow this down though. Well, I've already got a 0 position over my indicator here. So we'll come in here and touch off, and then we'll plunge 130 thousandths. There's our touch off. There's 100, 10, 20, 30. Make sure that I clear the tool coming out. All right, looks good. So we're going to reconfigure this. I'm going to turn this tool 90 degrees, and we're just going to go ahead and cut our oil grooves right here. What I'll do is we're going to put 2 grooves in this. And since the original has grooves coming all the way through so that the oil can come all the way through that side, we're gonna start our cut on this groove that we just cut, and we're gonna run it all the way through to the very end and run it out the other side there. And we'll cut 2 grooves. We'll just cut 2, that way we can line up, you know, the 2 jaws. We'll get one level, we'll get the tool going, we'll cut our groove, rotate it 180 degrees, and we'll cut the other side. I would have liked to done possibly 3, you know, with like using a 3 jaw. You can level up 3 jaws, but I didn't want to set this back up or indicate. So there's 2 grooves in this. We'll go with 2 grooves 180 out. Kind of give you a rundown of what I'm going to do before I start. It's going to be a little difficult to show you everything up close, but we'll get the camera out on the other side as we do this. So start out by saying we've got this jaw level with this, you know, combination square. I've got it in low gear so that it's real hard for that chuck to move, and I'm going to try not to touch it because it does have just a little bit of slack in it. So we're going to use this jaw, and then once we cut one side, we'll rotate it 180, level up the other. I've also got the tool bit rotated 90 degrees because we're going to be scraping this by hand. We're going to get in there, we're going to touch the tool off, center up on this groove on this end right here, and we'll use our cross slide to set a light depth every time, and then we'll crank it using the carriage all the way through there to scratch a oil groove in there or scrape it in. And once I get this tool bit in there and I find that groove, I'm going to we're going to set this dial indicator here on the back side to a 0 so that whenever I crank it back, I don't have to just like look at it and feel it. I can actually just look over here and see this dial come up to a 0, and I know that's where I need to stop. So we got the tool lined up on that groove there, and I got my 0 set. So now I'm going to come in here and run the cross slide back till I can feel it touching and dragging. Let me start over again because I touched it there. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to bring it back. We'll set a 0 on the collar here. Let's just start with 10 thou. I brought it to me 10 thousandths, and let's see if we get some resistance. All right, I feel it. It looked like it pushed the bar back. I guess not. Maybe it was just an illusion. I'm seeing some stuff sliding over here. I'm going to go ahead and back off, and we're going to run this back, and I want to see if that actually cut it. Yeah, I can see a little line there. Let's go to 20 thousandths. Okay. That way I can get a better visual in there. I thought about cutting it on the other side, the opposite side, so I could see it, but I was trying to get the camera a better view actually. Okay, so I can see it. Let's see. Yeah, it's doing good. I can feel it with my finger. Let's go a little deeper though. And we're just going to make some spring passes there. Doing this ductile, it's hard to even hear it. Whenever you do this to bronze or brass, you can usually hear the chipping action going on. Alright, we're going to take a look at that. Alright, that looks pretty good. Those cross grooves aren't as deep as the end grooves there, but I actually took mine deeper than the original part is. So we're going to call that one good where it's at, and we'll go ahead and we're going to rotate it around. Yeah, it looks good. All right, that looks pretty good and level right there. A little bit different perspective. You can kind of see what I'm doing here as I'm cutting it. So we got her lined up in our groove now. Our zero should be the same, so I'm going to go ahead and go in 10. And we come back and I watch this dial here. 0. Take another 10. And run it through. Once you get moving, you start kind of getting into a rhythm. You know, of course, with doing the camera and showing you guys, it's a little bit more tricky keeping up with everything. And every now and then, like right now, we've already gone 30, so I'll just make a scratch pass, a spring pass, because it's trying to push that bar away as it's scraping. All right, there's our final depth there. We'll make a couple spring passes through here. Try to scrape it out the size. Well, we are nearly done with our part. We do have the 2 holes that we got to drill, and the only other features on this thing is your 0 here, and then you have the hole there that's drilled through, and we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. For now, let's go ahead and get this thing unchucked. I'll run those on out. Give me some room there. I'm going to hold it against those other 2 brass shims. And you can see the oil groove's pretty good. All right, so what I've been thinking about here is we have our hole. That's probably an oil hole since it goes into that groove. All right, and then we also have our 0 mark there, which is going to be for your collar. So when this thing screws into the machine, and I'm assuming that's how this gets screwed into the main part of the the carriage of the lathe, and it's going to shoulder out right there. So what I'm worried about is if that's the case, whenever this thing is screwed in there, it needs to be timed properly. So when you look at this 0 mark, it's actually 180 degrees away from that hole. So that's telling me that when this thing screws in, your hole should be at the bottom, and when you lock this thing in, your 0 should be at the top. I believe that this is something that's going to have to be done after, or at the machine. This needs to be installed and then stamp it. Just stamp it with a hand letter, a 0, and a little chisel or whatever. Same thing with the hole. Is once you know where your top dead center is, then you're going to have to set this up and drill the hole accordingly. I need to send Vlad an email. I've been meaning to do that for a couple days, and it keeps slipping my mind. I need to email him and verify this. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to have to be done, and see if he can handle the hole, and especially this. I don't want to stamp that at all. So, but what we will do is we'll go ahead and get our 2 spanner holes drilled in there. That's just so you can use a spanner wrench and turn it in there and tighten it up. So we're going to go ahead and get these 2 holes drilled in there for a adjustable face spanner. So there's numerous ways that you can set this up. with it being just 2 holes drilled down through there, not a lot of pressure on this. This is a pretty simple setup that I'm going to use. This Toolmaker's V-block right here, and we'll set it down in there like that and just use the Kurt vise to hold it. All right, but I want to protect the finish. I don't want to mar this up. It's a nice looking piece, so I've got some brass shim stock that I'm going to use like I do in the chuck, you know, as like a soft jaw. Put that there, and then I'm going to put another one on the front of the vise right here. All right, that should be nice and tight for 2 little holes that we're going to drill in there. I think I'll use a test indicator to get this indicated in the middle. We'll use the Brown & Sharp best test and the edge indicator arm here. All right, let's see. Just kind of eyeballing where we're at now. I'm looking at this center, this line, and the indicator feeler to see about where it's at. All right, and I want to try to make this a little more flat, so I'm going to tilt it up. A little bit too far that way. All right, what is that? 6. It's 5.5, so it's about a half that way. That's 6. Oh, that looks like about a half thou. Both directions right there. Pretty good. So we're going to leave it right there, and then I'm going to zero out the indicator. I'm sorry, the digital readout up here. So our hole size is going to be 1/4 inch, and our center to center off of 0 is 1 3/4. All right, so we'll just take half that, 7/8. And so we got our digital readout up there set to a 0. So we'll just move her down 7/8 to each side. Simple as that. And then we also got our Mitsutsuya readout right here. So the depth of that, I measured it with a caliper a minute ago, is around 330. I'm just going to come down until it touches, and I'll zero it out. All right. Always in the wrong gear. Every time. All right. That looks right. So we'll just go down to 330 right here. Okay. Move the 875 the other direction. All right, 0. So that right there is one of the reasons why I wanted this Mitutoyo scale on the quill right here. I've never had that feature, and it's nice being able to just instantly see what your depth is when you're drilling a hole, instead of having to use the knee to crank it to the right depth. I really like that. Plus you can work off the actual point of the drill too, you know, the chisel point. Whenever you're measuring with calipers, you're usually down there near that tip. So I enjoy having that feature on here. Okay, it looks good. I'm gonna go in there with a chamfering tool. So there's a drill bit we use, a little stubby 135-degree split point drill. But I would like to go in here with a chamfering tool and just break that sharp edge. Just adds a nice little finishing touch to the job. You can use a Noga scraper for that too, but while we're here, let's just use the machine. Doesn't take much, just touch it. Okay. I was going to mention, I really like this little speed handle from Edge. First one I've ever had, and I like it where you can, when you're really cranking this thing in and out, you can move it to the middle. If you need a little more torque, just move it out there to the outside. I didn't have it very tight. But yeah, you can move it to the middle there, and you can snug up the little finger screw if you want. And see how easy that is to rapid the jaw out. And you can leave it right there if you want to, and pull the original Kurt Bikes handle in there as well, and get all the torque that you need. So just a nice little tool to have. It just makes your job a little faster and easier. Well guys, I think we've got a finished part here. I'm happy with the way it turned out. It looks nice, and I believe we have everything on size. So we did find that we did make a mistake on some of our sizing. My viewers kind of pointed that out, and it was kind of an embarrassing mistake to make, but it just goes to show that I'm not perfect in this trade. I do make mistakes. Luckily, they don't happen all the time, but they do happen sometimes, you know. But luckily, this was a mistake that was not very critical for this part. And if you didn't catch that mistake, or you didn't read the comments, we'll go ahead and talk about the mistake that I made, and it is in the part 2 video. So whenever I had originally shown using the indicator here to check that on the different heights there of this part, the original part, whenever I had indicated this center undercut section, I said it was 22 thousandths deep there, when in fact it was 32 thousandths deep on the indicator. I don't know why I did it, but whenever I was looking at the indicator, you know, it was on down here to around the 68 mark or so, and for some reason in my mind I was just reading it as 22 thousandths. So like I said, it's a little bit of an embarrassing mistake to make. I didn't even catch that when I edited the video. So really good eye from you viewers out there. You guys always catch every little fine detail there is to catch. But anyways, this is an undercut area right here, and I don't believe that little bit of difference is going to pose a problem there. So now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and do some inspection, just to kind of compare the two and see how close I am to the original on the size. And this is just kind of fun to do. It's not really necessary, but it's just fun to do. I think what I want to start with is we're gonna flip them over here, and we'll check them this way, and we'll run the indicator over them and see the height, if it's the same. we're going to check our original part first. Alright, so we're showing 0 on the indicator, so that'd be for our total height there, or width of the part. That indicator is moving just because that face isn't perfectly flat and parallel. So it looks like I'm less than 1/1000th difference on the total length. That's not a tenths indicator, but it looks like it's 8 or 9 tenths under. All right, so I would call that probably within spec if QC was checking that. All right, now we'll go ahead and switch up, and we're going to flip it over to this side right here, and we'll do our inspection on this side as well. We'll go ahead and flip the original part over there so that we have it for a reference on our sizing. All right, we're going to go ahead and reset a 0 there. Okay. So that outer edge, we wanted it 10 under. I've got it 11 under. Let's go back to our 0. That's our highest point, and then we're going to drop off. So I've got that. Indicator's not touching right there. I'm going to have to reset this, guys, because that's where the needle is in its free state right there. So it looks like we're already over 23 thousandths. Let me just reset this real quick. Okay. All right, so 11 thousandths, 0. So I ended up making that 24 thousandths instead of 22. So that puts us a little bit closer to our 32 thou. And let's go to the middle here. All right, we wanted the middle of it there, that center hub, 2 thousandths under. Looks like I'm 2.5 thousandths under. All right, so the center hub is within a half thou of what I wanted. Middle, I just kind of goofed on that, but I think we're perfectly fine there. And our total height compared to the original was what, less than 1/1000th difference. So I think we're good to go, guys. So this is going to conclude this project here, and I got to say, I actually enjoyed this, had a lot of fun making this part. It's one of those that I get to take my time doing. I don't have to rush to it because I'm punching the clock and it's a quoted job, you know. And I'm helping a viewer out getting this part replaced for his LeBlond, and hey, all of us like the old iron, right? So we like to try to fix it and repair it and get those machines running. And that's what this was all about, was to help somebody out and provide some good quality YouTube content and show some different aspects of machining. That's one of the things that I always try to do, is show different things. And I really enjoyed it. I will point out one minor detail that I did not mention when I was drilling the holes, is that I tried to clock the holes 90 degrees in relation to the oil grooves there, just to kind of make it a little bit more symmetrical there. I don't know if I could, maybe we can see a little bit finer detail of the oil grooves in there. Let's see if I can get you focused in some. I think it's going to try to focus on the outer flange, and I don't have adequate lighting to get you in there. But they turned out pretty good, and those grooves are going to serve the purpose of providing some oil down in there for the screw. Alright, so that's it. Another job done, another one complete, and I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you on the next job, okay?